One of the many benefits of being a Mott's Wealth Management client is the opportunity to meet and speak with industry specialists and professionals. Our speaker for the Financial Planning for Young Adults event is Melissa Motts, president of Mott's Wealth Management. She has over 25 years experience in the tax and financial industry, is a certified financial planner, CPA, and has a master's in taxation. This presentation was recorded on May 29, 2013. Thank you everyone for coming on this absolutely gorgeous May evening. It went from winter, or not winter, but early spring to summer, just like this. So the air conditioning certainly feels really good in here. So tonight we're going to be doing Lessons for Life. And these are tips and pointers and just some information really to help young investors plan for the future. And I like to say you're either young in the number next to you as far as how old you are, or young at heart. So we can all use these lessons or just be reminded of them at times. This is a quick quiz. So this was a few years ago that this survey was taken, and it would be for young people in their 20s and up to mid-30s, I would say. So 62% said yes, they're living from paycheck to paycheck. Okay, and like I said, this was a few years ago, so it was after the financial crisis and so forth. It's probably even more so now, I would imagine. Is learning that saving $50 a month over several decades, so that's why this is for young people, might provide you with more than $500,000 when you retire. Would that be a strong motivator for saving for retirement? $50 a month. 60% said yes. So we'll go over how that works. And then, do you currently have any type of debt? If yes, what types? So many people had outstanding credit card balances. Car loans are very common, mortgages, and student loans. So as we hear a lot, in the news and so forth, student loans, they have really been going up. Really, really been going up. So we'll talk about that too, about good debt and not good debt. And then when asked, are you currently saving for retirement? So I'm just going to preface this. One of my nephews, we were just out, he just graduated from college, but he was in the Air Force and went to school full time after he got out of the Air Force. They paid for it. He's married, has a house, a little baby now. He's turning 30 next week. He has $100,000 already in his 401k because he's been putting it away. Okay, I remember when he got his job, he came to me, Aunt Missy, or Melissa, and said, what should I do? I said, put it away. Just don't even, just take it out right away. That way you won't even miss it. So we'll talk about how that works, but that is very possible. Very, very possible. Okay, so in this particular survey, 34% hadn't started yet. So that's one of the big things, just start, just getting started. Really important. And then also we asked, do you currently use a financial advisor? 13% said yes. So we'll talk about how that can help someone feel more confident too, just using a financial advisor. All right, so what is financial freedom? People define it in different ways, but I'd have to say I do a lot of financial plans for clients, and a lot of my clients that are retiring, the number one thing they want to do is they want to be able to pay their bills with money left over. They don't want to have to worry about it. Okay? They don't want to have to worry over everything they spend. They don't want that stress. They want to have a financial cushion for emergencies, not just saving your money, but potentially watching it grow. Buying things that you love without guilt. Okay? That's also a way to feel financially free. Being able to pay for family needs. If you have children or you're going to have children, you have young children, college is going to cost a lot of money, being able to put it away. My clients who have paid for their children's college educations and their kids get out without any debt, my gosh, what a gift, to give someone in your family. So that means a lot to many people. And then giving to others and supporting causes you believe in. That's also another way to really feed yourself inside and feel really good about what you're doing, seeing your money go to good use. We're looking for strategies, and the big thing here is over time. They work over time. Okay, that's really the key. I had someone, I had a new insert put in my fireplace about a week ago, and he said, well, what's the big secret, to making money? And I said, save it. Just put it away. Just consistently put it away. Many people hear stories of the big, the big hit or the big, investment that really made a lot of money. Or, there's a lot in the news about young people that, they take their companies public. I mean, Facebook, look at, the founder of Facebook and so forth. That's like hitting the lottery. Average, normal people that succeed in life and do well financially make it work over time. So number one, pay yourself first. That means save part of your money up front. You won't miss it. You really won't miss it. It sounds crazy, but when it's in the account, in the checking account, it goes. It just has a way of going. When you don't put it there and you put it away, you don't really miss it. You just live within, what's there. Start early, that's another, and that can be wherever you are, because I know there are people of different ages here. The earlier you start, the better. And make your money work. Make it work for you. You're going to work many, many years, but then you want your money to be working as well. So number 4, own, loan, and save. Okay, doesn't say anything about borrow in there. Okay, own. Own companies. You be the loaner. You get the interest. Okay, and saving. Very important because you need to save to be able to own and loan. So, okay, and number 5, owning stock. Number 6, don't get emotional, and that's easier said than done. Use debt sensibly. So there are sensible ways to use debt, for sure. Take the match. That has to do with a match with a retirement plan, making sure you take advantage of that. Don't touch. For those of you that are working already, many employers have 401k plans where you put money away for retirement and they will match it. But don't touch it. People change jobs and leave employers, and they'll take the money. They'll take it out, and they'll use it. And needs versus wants, identifying those, and saying I do to a financially strong marriage when that comes along. That's so key, to have a partner that you're on the same page. Many times in spouses, one will be the spender, one will be the saver. Even if you're both spenders, somebody ends up becoming more of the saver than the other one, or if you're both savers, one ends up being more of a spender. It just kind of works out that way. But when you get on the same page and you can agree to both save and spend, enjoy now and put the money away for later, and you have a plan, you work together, it's really beneficial. All right, so lesson 1, pay yourself first. Save 10%. Simple. Save 10%. Start right off the bat. You get your first job, start saving 10%. Think about the future and your objectives. So at least 10% of earnings, should be saved. And if 10% is too much, go back to your monthly expenses and try to rein in spending. We have a handout here that we've handed out, and part of when we're doing a financial plan for a client, we have to figure out how much they're spending, so we can know how much do you need to, work for retirement or whatever it may be. And this is a budget. This has all the different, items on here, and you can add to them. I'd have to say the most painful thing for anybody to do is to sit down and fill one of these out. Okay, it's really difficult. So the way, instead of having to do that, the easiest way is just to take that top 10% off your earnings, and then the rest you're able to spend. So you don't have to go through a budget and check this against that and check this, just take it off. That goes away. So if you say, okay, we're going to save 10% for this, or we're going to put 8% here, we're going to put this percent in the college fund for the kids, or whatever it might be, you do that off the top. Then the rest you can spend. Then it's a matter of, okay, deciding how you're going to spend the rest of it, but that can be so much easier than trying to budget. But there are ways you can definitely save some money. So this is how they add up over time. So earn $100, invest $10. And like I was just saying, it's so much easier than budgeting. So average new college graduate starting salary, $44,000. So if you invest 10%, that's $44,226 per year. And you can see what would happen to it in 10 years, in 20 years, in 30 years. So look at time, $360,000. Putting away $4,426 per year. And that's at a 6% rate of return. It adds up. And I'll tell you what, when you get to that $360,000, what's 6% of that? That's over $20,000 just in growth without putting money in. That's the power of starting and just keep adding to it and adding to it and adding to it. So these are some tips. If you need more cash to invest, try doing some of these things. So, it's not like one extreme or the other. You save all this or you spend it all. Instead of eating out as often, maybe you cut back a little bit. You don't eat out as often. The other thing I found about some of these things is actually it can make them more special when you do them. If you're used to doing them all the time, they really become kind of just like meaningless. But if you just, you go out to eat once a week instead of twice a week or 3 times a week, it really adds up. Exercise at home instead of at a health club. Drink coffee at home instead of at a coffee shop. If you go to a coffee shop 5 times a week, instead maybe make it special once a week. Wednesdays I go for my special whatever it is that I like, and the other days I just bring my coffee in from home or have it at the office. Basic cable instead of premium cable. There's some cool new things coming out where you're actually able to start choosing the channels you want instead of just taking blanket, cable. It's quite expensive. Opt for limited cell phone plan instead of a high-end one. So be specific about where you're spending your money. A lot of this is about being conscious. So many times we get hooked into things and it goes out and we don't really sit and think about it, But when you become more conscious of, wow, I'm spending this much on this and this much, it doesn't look like a lot. Like when you eat out and it's like, oh, it's only $20 or it's only $25. But when you add it up over the year, it really adds up. So lesson 2, start early. So early just means now. It doesn't mean, like beating yourself up because, oh, I should have started 10 years ago or, any of that kind of stuff. You can't go back and do anything about it. But you're all young enough that it would make a difference starting right where you are. And it is all about time. So will you be a millionaire? And what would you do to become one? The 3 things that determine how much it will be worth is the amount invested, the rate of return, and how long it is invested. So that number 3, that how long, is a big deal, really big deal. We saw that, in the previous slide, the $4,400 a year being put away for 30 years. So looking at this, starting at age 16, I don't think we have any 16-year-olds here, but if you know a 16-year-old, if they were to put away $297 a month, 25-year-old, $524, 35-year-old, $1,026, 45-year-old, $2,205, and 55-year-old, $6,155 a month. Look at how much more you have to put away the longer you wait. It just really goes up. You can do any number. Instead of the $297, you say, well, $150, to come up, be have $500,000 instead of $1 million. And you can do the same thing at age 25, cut that in half, age 35. But, it's just consistently doing it. Starting earlier lets you get to a lot higher. So you can see at age 35, if you start putting the same amount that you would put in at age 25, you end up with a lot less money than if you start at age 25, than if you start at age 16. This is systematic investing, the power of it. So the top part of the slide is showing if you invested $1,200 all at once or $100 a month. Okay? So what the top one is showing, the lump sum, and as you can see, we never know what's going to happen with the market, in the next day. So, this could just have easily kept going up, but typically investments in stocks or the stock market or even bond funds, typically they're up and down. That's really what they do. Even if they're on a general uptrend, they're still up and down on that uptrend. If they're in a downtrend, they're still up and down on that downtrend. So if you do it every month, and this is the beauty of like having it with help from your pay or having an automatic coming out of your checking account every month, setting it up that way, you're buying it at different prices. So what happens is you end up with more shares. Okay, because if you're putting the exact same amount of money in $100 a month, when the price is high, well, starting here is $10. I'm sorry, it's you're getting 10 shares for $100. It's $10 a share. The price goes up. Now you're getting 8.3 shares. Price goes up higher. You're getting 7.1. Now you're getting 9.1, 10, 12 and a half, 20. So the price really dropped. You get 20 shares. What cost you the same amount of money you got 10 shares for before. So what a lot of people get, I would say, they get upset about when they're looking at their 401k statements or different statements and things have gone down, they focus on the dollar amount, but you want to look at the number of shares you have. That's what it's all about, accumulating shares. Okay, so the more shares you have, then when things do go up, the more you make. So making your money work. So inflation drives up prices. And over long periods, it does add up. So we want your money to keep working to keep up with inflation. So we look at like prices of just some things, like a movie ticket, Disney World pass, new car. We can see what it was 20 years ago average. These are average prices. And then 5 years ago, and now. So Disney World pass, that's gone up the most, I'd have to say. Movie ticket, not quite doubled. New car, not quite doubled. But, yeah, it's just easy to kind of, lose sight that is going to happen. It was interesting. I was looking at my Social Security statement the other day. And when you get your Social Security statement after you've been working, you can see what you made. And I was looking at my first year, what I made. My first year out of college, what I made. And, and so when I first started my business, I got out of college, it was going up, up, up. Then I started my business and it went down. And then that started to go up, and then, then it really, went up. So just really interesting to see the cost. Lesson 4, own, loan, and save. So stock, okay, owning stock. So what this is showing, this chart, is the best single year, the average year, and the worst single year. And this is going from 1992 to 2008, December of 2008. So it includes 2 bear markets in there, which were 2000, 2001, 2002, which means the stock market went down about 50%. And then it also included not the full down of the second bear market, but a good part of it. I was just at something we were looking at, I forget how much, I think in 11 days in October in 2008, how much the stock market dropped. Oh my gosh, it was sickening. It was sickening to watch. But you can see there's more risk with stocks, right? You start with $1,000, you can lose, 37%. And here, you made 37%. Now, this is the average. But that's what the value of time gives you. If you have a long time, you can put it away, and you can weather the downs because you have time on your side. You don't need the money right away. So that's the other thing, we're talking about investing here. If you're saving money for a car, you don't put it in the stock market, okay, because you could lose it, okay? That's where you would want to use a CD or savings account all the way on the right. They don't pay anything now. I mean, the rates are just so unbelievably low. But you'll have your money. It'll be there when you need it, all right? For stocks, you need time to make up for any years like this, or this was the worst year. There could be years that have this much of a loss or whatever. So that's part of it. Loan, bonds, so that's a good thing to have too. You can see you can lose money there too. The worst year since 1992, and the best year. Typically, the best years follow the worst years too. And that's emotionally when most people don't want to invest because they're like, no. So $1,000 invested in January 1992 and left alone until December 2008 would have been worth stock, $5,033, loan, $4,193, and savings, $2,514. Interest rates were a lot higher back then. It's been ever since the financial crisis where interest rates really came down to how low they are right now. They're being held there really artificially, giving my financial system a chance to recover. So, owning stock. So, buying stock makes you an owner of the company. So you know how when gas prices go up and everybody's, look at the gas prices going up. This is awful. You know, I'm getting this much less for the same amount of money. Well, if you own Exxon stock, it makes it a little easier to take because you're participating in some of that income. So whenever your company makes money, you can do two things. Some of it can be paid to shareholders in the form of a dividend, and some of it can be used to maintain and expand the business. It can be used to buy back shares, and then that means less shares are out there, so the prices go up of the stock. So it's a good thing to own some stock and be an owner. And, you know, some people, they like certain things they use, you know. We use this product. Well, you know, good to go out and check out the stock. You know, a lot of consumer kind of things that we use pay dividends too, and you can reinvest those dividends automatically right back in and get more shares. And there is risk. So sometimes you will sell your stock for less than you paid for it. That definitely happens. And occasionally a stock becomes worthless, like zero. Okay, I'm thinking of Borders Books, right? Another one. Circuit City. Yeah, went out of business, you know. So that does happen. One big one was Enron. That hurt a lot of people. Hurt a lot of big pension plans and stuff. So it does become worthless. So you don't ever want to put too much of your money in a single investment. So that's where diversification is important. And that's where you can use things like mutual funds. You know, they're great for diversifying. So only a small percentage is in a company. If a problem happens with that company, it won't affect everyone. One that's been really hit is Apple. I mean, Apple has gone down a lot since last year. A lot. Still a good company and everything, but people are not willing to pay what they used to be willing to pay for it. And that's what stock, really the value of stock is, you know, it's perception. Yeah, it's really, well, I'm willing to pay this, or I'm willing to sell for, you know, less than what I was willing to sell for the day before. So a lot has to do with that. So you want to divide your investments across asset classes. So we talked about that, bond type of investments and then stock type of investments. And there are other types, but just to keep it simple. And then a rule of thumb is for a longer time horizon. So this would be money that you're putting away for retirement or for a long time, you know, a long time frame. College education for your children. You want to have, take your age, subtract from 100. And that's a percentage you would want to put in stocks. For plans like 529 plans for children, for college education, a lot of them are set up, they're age-based. So what that means is if your child is 2 right now, he or she will be going to college, say, in 16 years, the fund is set up so that it's going to be mostly in stocks now, and gradually over time it's less and less in stocks and more in bonds and things. So by the time they're ready to go to school, it's not going to, you know, go up and down that much. It's not going to be that risky. So there are things that are set up that way. And same thing with target age funds for 401k plans and retirement plans are set up the same way. Here we have some average annual returns. So this was as of 12/31/09, and this was, so these are average annual returns. This is not the total return from the beginning to the end. This is average. From 1970, you can see stocks 9.8%, bonds 8.3%, that's per year, and T-bills 5.8%. I mean, T-bills are, you know, 2%. Now they're so low. 1970s, we were still kind of in a bear market for stocks, but the 80s and the 90s were unbelievably fabulous years. So you guys were just all born a little too late to enjoy that. But it will come back again. I mean, we go through time periods where the markets, you know, kind of don't do so well. They do well, and then they come down, but they kind of stay in a range. And then there are times when they break out over long periods of time. I mean, within that, there are still times when they correct and go down, but long runs. So we had that in the 80s and the 90s. And now in the 2000s, we've been in what's called a bear market. We pretty much, this is the S&P, we started, and we're about a little higher than where we started. Right now. So all that time in stocks, now this was up through the end of 2009, you would have lost 1% a year from 2000 through 2009. So that's why it's important to have a diversification, you know, not have it all in stocks. Especially when you're young, you know, if you're accumulating money, if you're saving it and putting it away, you'll have it when those good times come again. If you wait and you say, well, no, there's no money being made in the stock market, et cetera, I'm not going to put my money in. Okay, you spend it, you don't put, whatever. And then it starts going up. Like, oh, I want to save it now. Well, what are you starting with? If you've been putting it away all that time, now you're starting with more money. So you can really reap the rewards. Because these are averages. And remember I showed you what the best and worst years were? What if you make a 30% in a year? And then you lose 5 the next year. Well, that's not so bad because you've already made that 30% the year before. But if you're starting with, you're just starting to save because it's doing well, you don't have that much to participate. Okay, lesson 6, don't get emotional. So it is easy to get greedy in a rising market. It's so easy. And it's easy to get really scared in a falling market. Yeah. It's like, as humans, we see one way. We see up, it's going to keep going. And we see down, it's going to keep going down. And reality is that it doesn't go all the way down, except in rare circumstances where you have like certain stocks, companies do go out of business. But overall, it's not going to go down to zero. And overall, it can't keep going up. It can't. I mean, you think about it. What makes something go up in value? Okay, you have a stock. I'll pick a company, IBM. You have, or Apple. I'll use Apple because everybody knows that. Apple. So you have a stock. Okay, there's so many shares out there. All these different people and institutions and so forth have Apple stock. Okay, so what is going to make it? It's gone up. It's gone up, 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 up. What's going to make it continue to go up? Well, there have to be buyers that are willing to pay more for it. What typically happens is when you have a nice run for something, you run out of buyers. And then it tops. That's all it is. You're just really running out of buyers. It's not something horrible with the company. Typically, sometimes it is, but you run out of buyers. It starts to come down. Okay? And let me show you this one. So this is what happens, You're feeling good, upbeat, confident, euphoric. And then, now I'm getting nervous, scared, feel totally defeated. So this is the best opportunity to make money, which is typically the most difficult time to be in, which is why if you invest in, something that's actively managed, like a mutual fund, something like that, they know that and they'll take that into consideration. And euphoric. So with Apple, people are upbeat, more people are piling on, confident, more. And then you just kind of run out of buyers, and you see it starts spiking up, down. It's kind of, and then it starts going down. And what happens here? Why does it bottom out? Because you run out of sellers. People are not willing to sell it for any more, for less than whatever the price is. They're just not willing to sell. They're holding on to it. Typically, that's what happens. You'll have a high and a low, and then, it'll start again. I mean, the reason why people pay a certain amount of money for stocks is because they expect a certain return from it, Either dividends or they expect the value to go up. I mean, why else would you buy something, invest in something? You don't expect it to go down. So sometimes things get revalued, like Apple, for instance. There's like, okay, what new products are they going to come out with? Are they going to be able to keep up their growth, et cetera? And it's like, well, I'm not quite so sure about that. Let's look for something else we think has a better potential. So that's what happens when people start to sell. Lesson 7, use debt sensibly. Okay, good debt. So at the end of the loan, your payments are less than the current value of the purchase. That's the way it should be with a house. Now, we've seen that go the other way, but just like stocks, houses got crazy. That what I showed you before, people were buying houses thinking they were going to make money and flip them and all this stuff, and it's like, it doesn't go on forever. You run out of, buyers. So, and then there are more bad debts than good. So bad debts are at the end of the loan, your total payments are more than the current value of the purchase. So you total up all your payments and then the value. And not all bad debts are avoidable, like a car loan. We all need a way to get to work, so we borrow money. It's just more, I look at a car loan more as a cost. It's just a cost of living, just like food and, electricity and things like that. So they're not all avoidable. So credit cards, bad debts. My children do not have credit cards, and they don't ever want to get one. I've scared them so much about credit cards. So what this is showing, if you owe $9,200 on a credit card, and let's see, this is based on an interest rate of 14%. On a $150 minimum payment, it would take 9 years to pay off the balance, and you would have paid $7,000 in interest. $7,000. Just think of all the things you could have done with the $7,000. I love it when I go to buy a car, you know, and typically what they'll do is they want to talk to you about the monthly payment. They're trained to do that because the monthly payment is small. It's a small bite. It seems manageable. You always want to find, I think I go into this in another slide, what am I paying for the car? How much is the car? You know, and they'll keep trying to steer you to, well, what can you know, monthly pay? They really are good at that. They keep trying to steer you to the monthly payment. What am I paying for the car? That's what you want to know. What am I getting for my trade-in on my car? Okay, get a number. That's easier to figure out. Oh, I'm paying $30,000 for this car, and you're giving me a trade-in of $5,000. Okay, this other dealer, I'm paying $29,000, and they're giving me the same amount. Well, gee, that seems like a better deal to me. Okay. Messing with the payments, because they can take payments and put them over 4 years, 5 years. They can stretch it out. They can, you know, find out what you're paying. Okay? That's really important. So credit cards, gosh, they're to be avoided. Good debts, student loans. So this is a mixed bag, actually, because some student loans are not good. And what I mean by that is, you know, right now we have quite a lot of people that have student loans that have not graduated. And they are stuck with those student loans, and they are not getting the higher salaries. So what this is showing is what the salaries, what you'll make based on your degree. So you see, having an education is definitely better. You're going to make more money with an education. I'm not knocking education, but I'm saying you want to be smart about how you do it. You know, just saying, oh yeah, I'll just borrow the money, and just signing, I'll just borrow the money, borrow the money, borrow the money. Well, that adds up. You have to pay that back. You know, it's not just a black hole. You've got to pay that money back. I know I spoke with a woman the other day. She went to law school. She said, oh, I put everything on the loan. All of her living expenses, everything. She said, I don't know if I'll ever get it paid off. You know? So, you know, you can be smart about it. You can check schools, in-state schools versus out-of-state schools. I mean, you know, just understand, what am I going to be owing when I get out? It's like the same thing. Don't just look at the payment. Look at how much am I going to owe? Student loans are good debts, but they need to be managed so that you're not going to spend your entire life paying off your student loan. You know, you want it to add to you want your education to add to your lifestyle, not detract, you know, from it. Yeah, it does. It can make it almost impossible if you take on too much debt. Okay, so just like I said, to compare total cost, not monthly payments for large purchases. That's an easy thing to do. Don't carry a credit card balance. If you have a credit card, pay it off every month. You're getting to use their money for a month, and you get the points. I like to do it because I get Marriott points, and then we get to go stay at nice hotels and nice places for free. But it's paid off every month. And shorten the length of your loans. I have to say, my clients who really, you know, done well financially in life, and it's really not based on the amount of money they make. It's based on they're putting the money away. They spend less than they earn. They put money away right off the top. And many of them put extra against their loans. Just extra. You know, you've got $50, you know, even when you're young and you don't have much money, oh, well, we have an extra $25 this month. Put it against that loan. Put it against that loan. Put it against that. You know, it just shortens the amount of time, and that means less interest. I mean, interest is money that essentially is gone. What do you get for interest? Do you get anything at all? You know, do you get a computer for interest? You know, do you get a drink? Do you get anything? You don't get anything. You know, that's why at the beginning I said you want to be the loaner. The one collecting the interest, they're happy. You know, especially if you're paying 20% on a credit card, they're really happy. And you can always ask your lender for a better interest rate if you've got some issues with credit cards and so forth. You can, you know, work with them to try to get a better rate. So some ideas: transferring high-rate credit card balances to lower-rate card, calling the credit card company to renegotiate the interest rate, refinancing your mortgage at a lower rate. Helped clients with that many times. That works out really well. Rates are so low right now for mortgages, gosh. And consolidate consumer loans through home equity line of credit. This last one I don't like people to do if they're going to just build up the loans again. Only if they're going to keep them paid off, cut up the credit cards, that kind of stuff. Otherwise, that's how a lot of people got into trouble, actually. For some of you, they're young, you didn't have a home, but you hear about, homes being foreclosed and short sales. You might even know people that's happened to, but, many times that was the problem. They were borrowing against their house, and then their value of their house went down, and then, they couldn't keep up the payments because they had so much debt. So here we are with, let's see, maximize the impact of payments. So here again, time. Time is your friend here. So if you've got an 18% and you make the minimum payment of $20 on a $1,000 credit card balance, it's going to take you 19 years to get that paid off. Isn't that unbelievable? Yeah, that just blows my mind. And look at the interest you would have paid. Almost double what you originally had on that credit card balance. And remember, interest gets you nothing. Doubling the payments. See, that's what I was talking about when you put a little extra against loans. That's going totally against principal. So you're going to have less interest accumulating. So if you just double the payments to $40 a month, it takes you 7.25 years. And you pay $515 in interest. I mean, it's still a lot of interest, but it's way less than $1,931. I mean, one of the things that you might try, because sometimes some of this stuff, people are like, oh, yeah, all right, I've heard this before. But if you can actually get excited by looking at your bank balance, really, if you look at it and check it, say, oh, look at this, look at my savings, look at this, look at my 401k, look how many shares I bought. Even your debt, checking your mortgage balance, look how much we paid off. Oh, look, I put an extra 100 or more, doing that, if you can actually start to see it, get a little bit of excitement about it, just the way you would when you go out and buy a new piece of furniture or something, that will incent you to want to keep doing that. Because if something feels painful, you don't see any, you can't really feel the benefit, but if you start to get excited about that kind of stuff, say, gosh, look at this, I really am making some headway here, then that tends to, keep you in that good habit. So plan your purchases. Don't go into a store without a list. Wait until cash is available to buy big ticket items. So actually saving for it, saving for it. Don't shop for fun. So don't go to the mall for recreation unless you don't take any money with you. And use credit for emergencies only, not to pay day-to-day living expenses. So those are really important. And take the 401k match. So 401k is, how many people here participating in their employer's 401k? Okay, we got a bunch of people. Yeah, so 401k is your retirement plan. The government, so if you put a dollar, take $1 withheld, and if you're in a 25% tax bracket, the government is contributing 25 cents to your dollar, essentially. They have a state tax here. Pennsylvania, we don't get a deduction for it. So actually it ends up costing you less, because the government's putting money in for you. And then if your employer matches it, so imagine you put $1 in, you get a 50% match. You made 50% already on your investment. I mean, that's how my nephew did it, getting to the $100,000 when he's turning 30. He took advantage of all the employer match. And it's important to make sure you're putting in the whole year so you get the full employer match for the whole year. Here it's showing you can reduce your current tax bill. If you have an income of $40,000, you put $3,000 in your 401k. Your reportable wages on your tax return is $37,000. If you're in the 28% tax bracket, you get to keep an extra $840. So, it's helpful. The government's helping you. Your employer many times is matching. And, it's something you definitely want to do. And plus, you don't pay taxes on what's earned in the account while it's in there. It's deferred until you retire. So that helps it to grow also. So here in a tax-deferred account with a hypothetical 6% annual rate of return, so $1,000 a year from age 25 to 44, versus $2,000 a year from age 45 to 64. Now, the 1,000, the maroon or brown, that ends at age 44. They stop putting the money in. But it's growing. It's getting 6% return. So that's that compounding. So you start young, you end up with more money instead of waiting. And don't touch your 401k. So this is an interesting. Cashing out your 401k early, how much will it cost? So let's say you want to take a trip and you pay the travel agent $5,000. So you take money out of your 401k. You change employers and you take the money out. Well, you're going to have another $3,000 in penalties and taxes. So it's actually going to cost you $8,000 for the trip. Okay, now the trip's not looking quite as good. These are your lost gains on that $8,000 pre-retirement. This is for someone that's age 35. So you got 30 years of growth on that you've lost out on. And this is lost gains post-retirement. So it's the gains pre-retirement, post-retirement. So it looks like, well, I'm only taking out, so many thousand. Well, you don't realize like this time thing with compounding, just the difference that it makes. So just as it says here, remember your retirement accounts are for retirement only. And if you switch jobs and you get a severance package, you want to make sure you can withdraw the money and pay taxes and penalties. You don't want to do that one. All the other options, transferring the money to the new employer's plan, leaving it in the former employer, or putting it in an IRA. That way you don't pay any tax. It's still for retirement. It gets all the great benefits. And needs versus wants. So make smart choices. Just realize what things are costing you. That's really, and one of the big things I see so many people waste money on is cars. Buy a new car every few years. No. The best way to do it is you buy a car, you don't lease it, you buy it. Okay? I know people say, oh, better lease, buy, all that kind of stuff. You buy it, you pay off the loan, you keep it. Okay? The other thing is, oh, well, it's going to cost so much in repairs and all that. Really, if you look at how much would I be paying in repairs versus how much is a car payment going to be costing me, it's less money to pay the repairs. And you keep the car. So you put the money away that you've been putting against the car loan. So if you've been paying $300 a month for a car loan, now the car is paid off. You take that $300 a month, you put it away. You might have some repairs you have to make out that you take out of that. But what will happen over a few years, now you have a really nice down payment on the next car. And then you're in good shape. Because remember that other slide that showed how much cars go up? They go up and cost more to have a car or to buy a car. And to have a car, actually. So same thing with apartments, same thing with dining out. Not to say you don't ever dine out, but it's, you pick when you want to go. That's all. And lesson 11, say I do to a financially strong marriage. So when it comes time for that, okay, so assess spending and saving habits. Are they compatible? Consider establishing joint accounts for joint bills. Decide who will have the day-to-day responsibilities, but make the big decisions jointly. Everybody really should be informed about what's going on. That's important. And discuss short-term and long-term goals. And don't forget to change your insurance beneficiaries, retirement, update wills, and get life insurance if you get married. So, but that's another one I can't stress enough. There's a book called The Millionaire Next Door, and pretty much they all, they would sit down at the kitchen table on a regular basis and just look over their finances. Nothing, no fancy computer, anything. Just going over it. How are we going to do this? What are we going to spend? What are we going to put away? Are we going to fix this year? Are we going to get the new appliances? Okay, the kitchen is coming. That's 4 years down the road. We're putting the money away for that. Just those things. You're just working together. You're a team. And it's always good to check out, if you're going to get married, see what their credit rating is. Very important. Oh, prenup, yeah. Prenup. Good thing to have. Yeah, that's true. Because, there are several people here, they're married, so I won't ask you to raise your hands, but, a lot of people fight over money in their marriages. A lot. Get into arguments over money. So, if you can get things in a mutual respect kind of way, and have some good habits, it really can help. So gentlemen that are here, I hate to tell you, but 80 to 90% of women end up managing their finances at some point, just because they live longer. For all the women in the audience, it's good to, have a handle on what is going on. Don't leave it all up to your spouse. Have an understanding. And you can see what happens here for many women is they end up changing jobs more often. Sometimes when they have children and so forth, they might cut their hours back. So they have lower pensions in general. Their earnings are lower. Their Social Security benefits are lower. Yet women live longer, so they need the money to last longer. So it's important to take care of yourself, I guess, for the women that are here, and for the men. Definitely. Okay. So take action. Biggest things: spend less than you earn. I can't emphasize that enough. Spend less. If you spend more than you earn, where's it coming from? Debt. And eventually you got to pay it back. You got to pay it back. And then you're stuck, right? Because if you're spending more than you're earning and you borrowed the money, it's not like you can decide whether you're going to have a latte out or get coffee in. It's that payment is coming up and you've got to pay it. So don't get into that habit of spending more than you earn. Spend less, invest the difference, take it right off the top, then you know what you're left with, and contact your financial professional. So remember, financial success breeds financial independence. That's what this is about. It's about freedom, about not having someone on your back, okay? Be it the credit card company or whoever it is. It's about having freedom. You're adults, you make your choices, you stick with them, and you enjoy your life. That's what this is all about. And I know your parents, any of the young adults here, that's what your parents want for you too. And getting professional advice can help because it does help people to feel more comfortable investing typically. Also feel more knowledgeable and more confident about having money for the future. Okay. And that's it. Coming up. I hope you enjoyed listening to Melissa Motz, and if you have a friend or relative who is considering their financial options, please feel free to invite them to accompany you to one of our upcoming events. Visit our website at www.motz, that's M-O-T-Z, wealthmanagement.com for the most up-to-date listing of these events. Over the years, many of my clients have asked me to speak with a friend, relative, or colleague concerning private financial management. I consider it an honor and a privilege, and have been happy to accommodate those wishes. For your future reference, I want you to be aware of the standards by which I comply with such requests. First, confidentiality is the cornerstone of my business. Each of my client relationships is distinctly separate and totally private. Second, thoughtful and courteous service is guaranteed. This is a people business. Finally, I will never give advice and counsel to a client without thoroughly understanding his or her needs. Please contact us at 215-513-6240 or send me an email at melissa@motz, that's M-O-T-Z, wealthmanagement.com. Melissa H. Motz is a registered representative, securities offered through Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a broker-dealer, member FINRA SIPC. Melissa H. Motz is an investment advisor representative, Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Motz Wealth Management and Cambridge are not affiliated.